Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. This was my first time trying to jump on not the Gwenpool, the Spider-Gwen bandwagon, and I don't know, I'm kind of meh about this book, yet I'm finding some strong qualities in it, but uh, considering that this is my introduction to the character, it's not grabbing me it's not grabbing me by the earlobe and saying, "Look at me, I rock, I'm awesome." But I am seeing some strengths that make me interested to read more, and are making me think about, is this a distaff character or is this an interesting character? I really like what ifs and Elseworlds, so the idea of what if the spider bit Gwen Stacy instead of Peter Parker is kind of cool, sort of retelling that story in a new universe. That's what I liked about Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was a really good retelling of a beautiful story that in the original Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm not sure if Gwenpool is either retelling that old beautiful story in a new way, or if it's trying to tell its own story and not quite living up to the legacy of my boy Peter Parker. But I do see some strengths in it and some weaknesses. So I want to talk about it. First off, I think Gwen actually kind of has a pretty cool design. You know, the hoodie, black when she's in her normal outfit, pink, white, black, and apparently weird blue slipper shoes, and then Gwenum uses a similar color scheme, just black for white and white for black. So I kind of dig that, and I dig Rodriguez's art style to a degree. It's kind of almost like a punkish style almost. Maybe I'm just thinking that because I see this kid doing spray paint out there, but and there's a pink motif to the color palette, but it's not it what's the word for it? Pink is a predominant color throughout, but it's not hot pink, girlish pink. It's more kind of like spray paint pink, kind of out on the subway station. And I think it's interesting that they have this guy at the start, because this does sort of set the tone artistically. The reason I'm thinking about this book so much is I'm reading Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur and reading Gwenpool, because I love Bustos and I love Guri Hero, and the art of those two books are so compelling. Those are some of the most professional examples I've seen of expressive cartoon artists. And even if the stories are okay, if the stories were much worse, I'd still read those two books just for the strengths of those two artists. Rodriguez is pretty cool. I'm kind of connecting with this, but it's not, maybe just kind of on a personal, subjective level, it's not clicking with me quite as beautifully as the beautiful elegance of Guri Hiro's style, for example. But I am digging this drawing style, and if Rodriguez is the regular, then I'm interested in checking out more. It's an expressive and exaggerated style that works well for the energy of kind of a dynamic character who's going to be hopping around and doing spider action. I thought there was a little bit overuse of a single color, so let's spread it out. You see how there's pink throughout, which is unifying: pink, black, dark blue, green. But you need rest. If you have too much of one thing, you need a break from it. So I guess yellow is the complement to purple in this composition. There's a little here, there's a little here, there's a tiny bit in some words, but it's not really present on this whole page enough to give you a rest from this sort of oppressive feel of purple. Now that means you can use it smartly. If you want an oppressive dungeon feel, you will kind of belabor someone with almost one color. But unless you want people to stop reading the book or just get tired of reading your book, give their eye a break occasionally. And once again, we're losing the white gutters. So something that would normally give us a little break. Then you wouldn't need more yellow. The white gutters would achieve the job of giving the eye a rest in certain places. Uh, it's Rodriguez has an exaggerated cartoon style, which I enjoy. It's not the kind of elegant, simple Charles Schultz or Hergé school of thought, but it's really fun. It's really kind of gives Gwen her own flavor, her own distinct feel. It gives the world kind of the feel of maybe being a bit dangerous, being a bit punk rockish. I guess Matt Murdock is a villain in this, and I kind of like the exaggeration and how he's sort of rat-like. There's a good vibe for giving. I do not like this weird hair horn on this world's version of Rhino, but even as kind of like just a goofy thing, he's a pretty fun and expressive character. He's got one. All right, but I want to talk about this. So within the world of Spider-Gwen, she's part of a band called the Mary Janes, where Mary Jane, I guess, is the lead part of the band. And this is my introduction to the character of Mary Jane in this world. And it starts with a guy with a man bun musing out loud that maybe Gwen Stacy is Spider-Woman, and then here's Mary Jane's response. We were introduced to her in Amazing Spider-Man, where they're saying, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot," and she's looking amazing. Mwah. First crush, you know? What makes sense is for you to shut up, because if you don't want to be missing all your teeth, you'll watch how you talk about my friend, man bun. Okay, so what he said was, Gwen Stacy might be Spider-Woman, pretty much, right? Or he's accusing her of being Spider-Woman, but that's not saying something absolutely atrocious about the person. You could fault him for maybe like spreading rumors about Gwen Stacy being Spider-Woman, but this is a threat of physical violence. So there's violence in comics, there's threats of physical violence in comics, but here's the question. Is that supposed to come from characters who we're normally supposed to look at as admirable, as decent people, as heroic people? Now maybe this version of Mary Jane, they're trying to say, oh, she's the hot-headed redhead, to give her maybe kind of a distinct personality from the old comics, and to maybe, so if Gwen's the heroic and normal one, Mary Jane's the angry and intimidating one. But what this got me thinking about is you have to have balance in how the characters who are supposed to be heroes, if they have personality flaws and failings, it has to be within reason. It doesn't make sense for someone to be a Nazi for a little bit and just kill a few people, and then whoopsie, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I'm back to being just one of the gang again, guys. There have to be consequences to the bad things and the bad behaviors that people have. And I've mentioned before that I listen to a lot of director's commentaries on movies. I read a lot of behind-the-scenes interviews because I'm trying to get a feel for how professional artists navigate these kinds of story problems and these kinds of art problems. Go listen to the director's commentary on Pixar's Brave sometime. That's not even my favorite Pixar movie. It's just kind of the Disney formula, but by Pixar, they wanted some of that Disney princess money. But the writers and the directors were very, very thoughtful about this problem. How do you have tension between two characters without either one of them or both of them just becoming unlikable? If all Brave was Merida and her mom being nasty to each other for a whole movie, I wouldn't be invested. They showed balance in the ways that Merida and her mom had a difficult relation with one another. The key scene, I think, in Brave is Merida cuts her mom's tapestry that shows the whole family together, and the mom takes Merida's bow and throws that into the fireplace, something that her father gave her as a gift. So they are doing something, they're lashing out in anger, and they're destroying a physical object that is very important to the daughter and to the mother. But I think it's really noteworthy they take their anger out on an object. They don't beat each other up. They don't slap each other around, because that would be weird in a Disney movie. It'd feel wrong to then see these characters as normal, decent people we're supposed to like and be rooting for. That if you're doing like an R-rated or PG-13 character study of abuse or something, a streetcar named Desire, then you can have unlikable characters where that's the whole point. But in a Disney movie, in a superhero book, I shouldn't be seeing like creepy threats of violence from characters who are supposed to be heroic. And this doesn't always work, but if you could flip the genders, I think you could see instantly how this would come off as really creepy if this was Flash Thompson saying this to some girl. Hey, Peter Parker might be Spider-Man. Shut up or I knock your teeth in. Ugh. Now, I know that doesn't always work. You can't always just one for one. Hey, what if this guy was a girl? What if this girl was a guy? What if the black guy was a white guy? What if the white guy was a black guy? Like, that doesn't always work, obviously, because there are specific circumstances where it would make sense for a girl and only a girl to say something, or a black guy and only a black guy to say something. If your story is set in the Civil War era in the American South, then you can't just flip the races and have the story make sense. But here I think is a good example of if you flip the genders, this would really be skeevy and kind of creepy. And I, it, and I don't think it makes a difference if you're a boy or a girl. Threatening to punch someone's teeth in for saying something like that is oddly specific and oddly out of proportion to what he said. So I wasn't digging that at all. And that's a turnoff for me for the whole book. Man, I've talked about this for a while now. It's just been going on. Okay, so I guess the writing lesson, because I'm always looking for application for myself. How can I avoid this problem in my own writing? And I guess don't have likable characters do random threats of violence. And if they have a temper, then have their temper almost be humorous. If it's a flaw to an otherwise noble character, it should be their anger problem, their temper should be moderated by their other positive qualities. And I haven't seen what this version of Mary Jane's positive qualities are yet. Is she that same fun, bouncy character from Amazing? I don't know. So, Rhino in the bar. There it is. I love this drawing. It's so goofy and kind of fun, and his hair is so ridiculous, but it's expressive and it's telling me about the character. He's kind of grumpy. He's glum. He drinks too much. He's got a silly haircut. It's fun. This is a fun and interesting take on these characters from an alternate universe, and I don't mind having a lot of stylistic variety within Marvel because it gives you a chance to appeal to a broad group of people. I think my problems with this one were really mostly story and maybe to a limited extent the color palette being a little bit too samey, like green, pink, 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 pink. It's the opposite problem of too many browns and too much muddy grays. That's dull, but this kind of psychedelic techno world, it'd be nice to just give people a rest. This is actually even better because it does have those white borders. There we go. And that just gives me the rest where I like looking at this page because overall it feels pleasing and I have a moment of rest. Color theory was never really my strength, even though I did painting. I kind of just tried to get a feel for color. Dumbest mistake I've ever seen here, by the way. Man, Punisher's got one whack haircut. I think this is a coloring error because that should have been filled brown or black, and it just got filled flesh tone. So either this universe, he's Link, guys. He's got his nice little pixie ears, or we've topped the man bun for worst haircut of current year. And Ben and Aunt May Uncle Ben is still alive, and they have some kind of talk about responsibility. So this segues nicely into something I'm thinking about. You can't just say the word responsibility and have all the weight and the impact of with great power comes great responsibility, which came from Peter Parker's story. If Gwen Stacy's as Spider-Woman is just a rehash of that story, it's a retelling of the classic story in a different universe, then go ahead and just rip that off entirely, I guess. And from reading the summary that they're putting at the end of Legacy, they have like Mark Bagley telling her origin story. Apparently she feels regret over Peter Parker's death when Peter Parker became the Lizard, but how is she learning with great power comes great responsibility from that? So I don't know enough about the character to comment on whether they're fulfilling that legacy, but she doesn't seem to have the stakes and the impact that Peter does. So, but I guess the good news is I did enjoy the art enough that I'm willing to go give this a chance and read it. But as an individual comic, as my introduction to the character, I think this was kind of weak, especially for that Mary Jane moment. Good solid art that I was connecting with for its expressiveness. That's the thing I'm looking for. So I want to give praise when they're doing the things that I'm looking for. Expressive, dynamic drawing, where even if it's not the 90s superhero style, it lends itself to a superhero action story and gives her a flair or a flavor that's distinct from the rest of the Marvel universe. So props on that. Gets me interested to look at more books, to see more Rodriguez art. Creeped out on Mary Jane. Keep proofreading, editors, for those little mistakes, because those are so goofy. I'm not going to talk about it. There was like this really creepy thing where she had some teeth like on her midriff, but almost on her private parts, where an editor, you should be catching that kind of weird stuff. This is your T book. This and Moon Girl are apparently the things you're aiming at little kids. It says T, but come on, this is really a PG if we put it in movie terms that kids are going to be reading. And don't make dumb mistakes that make these weird, creepy moments or give Punisher a laughably dumb haircut. But I do think I will check this out because I really like something about Moon Girl and Gwenpool, but I'm disappointed, but particularly by Gwenpool because I think that they're losing. At least in 20, they seem to suggest she's going to be a heroic character, and in 21, she's back to being just cutesy Deadpool killing people willy nilly. Well, do you want to be her to be a hero or just another anti-hero edgelord character? But there's something beautiful about, maybe it's just the art of Gwenpool and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, where I feel like these characters could become something special. They could become something that decades from now we'll be reading Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur stories and Gwenpool stories. But I feel like there's something political at Marvel that's holding them back, or this is more Zach's thesis than mine, but it could be that the mentality of progressivism is making it hard to write these characters in a human way, so that Moon Girl can't just be a fun, identifiable, girl genius. She's got to be the smartest character in the Marvel universe, and when she appears outside of her book, she's kind of weirdly antisocial, and that's not how she is in the regular Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur book. I love that book. I keep thinking of Calvin and Hobbes when I read Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I want to do a video that's just devoted to analyzing the story and the art of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I want to do one on Gwenpool because I love the art of Gwenpool. The guest artists do not live up to Gurihiru, but I see a amazing hero in Gwenpool and Moon Girl that I think could have a lasting, beautiful potential for Marvel to build on. They just have to empathize with the right. They just have to empathize with Middle America and the flyover states enough that they don't put nonsense into books that kids in red states should be reading and that Trump voter parents should be buying for their kids. There is a good heart within Marvel still of good characters, even within bad books or books that have dumb stuff within them. There's a heart that can be rescued, which is why I'm not willing to just give up and throw it all away and stop spending my money on comics. I want to see Marvel. You can't go back in time. It will never be exactly like the way it was when I was a little kid, but it can be amazing and it can be great. So I guess my lesson is some weird stuff in this book, but I'm not giving up yet. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Don't give up, guys. And if you have, like, comment, and subscribe. Comment if you have read more Gwenpool, and should I just start at issue 1 and catch up? What are the best runs of Gwenpool? Not Gwenpool, Spider-Gwen. Good grief, too many Gwens. Whatever. But yeah, tell me what else I should read of Spider-Gwen to catch up on this character. What your thoughts on the character are, because I'm interested enough in her to give her books a chance now. All right, #1 Marmaduke fan. Catch you guys later.